Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. Gary Payton too has had some great defensive games for the Warriors, but this season he hasn't had the expected defensive impact. And Payton is gradually being removed from the Warriors' rotation, and one of the options is to trade or release him to free up a roster spot and be able to sign another defensive player in 2026. Gary Payton too may have seen his minutes dwindle at times since his significant impact in the 2022 championship run, yet the veteran guard has always remained a favorite of Steve Kerr at the Golden State Warriors. That might be until now, as Kerr and the Warriors realize Payton is no longer the defensive menace he once was, something that many will believe is long overdue after more limited impact even since his return to the franchise at the 2023 midseason deadline. Warriors are coming to a brutal Gary Payton II realization. The need to move past Payton in favor of younger players might be a brutal one, but it's also a necessary one at this point of his career. Golden State have seemingly done that, having left the 32-year-old out of the rotation in the second half of each of the past two games. After playing at least 7 minutes in each of the first 4 games, Payton saw just over 5 first-half minutes against the LA Clippers at Chase Center on Tuesday night. He wasn't to be seen again thereafter, and probably rightly so given the Warriors were astonishingly outscored by 17 during his little time on the floor. Fast forward to Thursday's meeting with the Milwaukee Bucks, and Payton saw just over 3 minutes in the first half, the least of any of the 12 players Kerr utilized during the shock 120-110 defeat at Fiserv Forum. Even when Golden State were powerless to stop former guard Ryan Rollins, who went for a career-high 32 points and 8 assists, Kerr decided against going back to Payton at all in the second half despite his previous stature as the team's best perimeter defender. If the Warriors aren't going to use Payton in a situation where they needed his perimeter defense, then it's unlikely he sees a whole lot of rotation opportunity going forward. With DeAnthony Melton nearing a return from injury and the front office likely to sign Seth Curry at some point in the next month, the already very limited playing time is probably going to turn into some complete DNPs. This won't be a total shock, or at least it shouldn't be, given Payton was one of the last players signed to the roster once Jonathan Kuminga's free agency was resolved. The Will Richard emergence has been a surprise and played a role in Payton's downfall, with the rookie guard playing nearly 12 minutes on Thursday and now averaging more than 5 minutes more than his veteran teammate. If the Warriors have realized that Payton isn't and shouldn't be a consistent rotation member, he'll want to make the most of any opportunity to change their mind, particularly prior to Melton's return. Warriors cast-off has a career night against his old team. The Golden State Warriors traded away Ryan Rollins in 2023 after 1 season and 12 games with the team. Thursday night, Rollins showed the Warriors what they missed out on. With Giannis Antetokounmpo out with an injury, Rollins scored a career-high 32 points and dished out 8 assists as the Milwaukee Bucks beat the Warriors, 120-110. Rollins went 5-4-7 from three-point range, tying his career best, and went 13-4-21 overall. In the last 4 minutes after the Warriors got within points, Rollins had 8 points and an assist. Oh, and he outscored Stephen Curry, 32-27. Warriors gave up on Ryan Rollins after 1 season. Golden State traded up to draft Rollins with the number 44 pick in the 2022 draft, believing that the then 19-year-old guard from Toledo could help it reload their championship roster, which was getting up in age. But Rollins missed summer league due to a foot injury, then suffered a season-ending Jones fracture. After the season, the Warriors sent Rollins and fellow 2022 draftee Patrick Baldwin, Jr. to the Washington Wizards along with Jordan Poole. In exchange, they got 38-year-old Chris Paul, a serious reversal in the team's earlier youth movement. Rollins was included in the deal to help the Warriors dump Poole's contract, which spanned 4 more seasons, and to ditch his own guaranteed deal. After a troubled partial season in Washington, the Wizards waived Rollins and he caught on with the Bucks in February 2024. Ryan Rollins' huge night showed the 23-year-old's improvement. 1 game after Rollins had a career-high 25 points against the New York Knicks, he set another career high, this time without Antetokounmpo there to score 37 points and take up the defense's attention. Even with a great defensive player like Jimmy Butler on him, Rollins delivered in the clutch. Rollins has gone 9-for-11 from three-point range in his last 2 games, but it doesn't feel like a fluke. Last year he shot 40.8% on threes and hit 80% of his free throws, a strong indicator Rollins can truly shoot the ball. He also had 12 steals in his first 4 games, and while he didn't have a takeaway Thursday night, Rollins has more steals than turnovers, 10, on the season and an excellent assist-to-turnover ratio of 5-2. Last season, Rollins was a solid reserve, averaging 6.2 points and 1.9 assists while starting 19 games. But with Damian Lillard suffering an Achilles tear and then being waived by the Bucks, Rollins got an opportunity, and got an even bigger one when Kevin Porter Jr. sprained his ankle in the season opener. Rollins looks like he's going to have a serious future in the NBA. Unfortunately for the Warriors, that future won't be with them. Warriors fell for another trap game versus Giannis last Bucks. Dubs beat playoff contenders and loses to Skeleton Crews. It's frustrating, predictable, and somehow perfectly on brand. Look, I've been covering the Warriors for 8 years, and at this point, I should probably just accept that this team operates on a different plane of basketball logic than the rest of us mortals. They opened the season by dropping 119 on the Lakers. Beat them straight up. Then they went into overtime with the Nuggets and survived with 137 points. Dismantled Memphis 131-118. These aren't scrubs. These are Western Conference playoff teams with championship aspirations. The Warriors looked at legitimate competition and said, yeah, we got this. But then Portland showed up without Damian Lillard and without head coach Chauncey Billups, and suddenly the Warriors' defense forgot how to exist. 139 points. Now I know the Blazers are better than people expected and it was the second night of a back-to-back, so maybe that's a scheduled loss? But just when you thought maybe that was a fluke, Golden State travels to Milwaukee and loses to a Bucks team sitting Giannis Antetokounmpo. Ryan Rollins, a guy the Warriors drafted and then let walk, drops a career-high 32 points on them. The Milwaukee bench outscored Golden State's reserves 38-29. Let me repeat that, Ryan Rollins, former Warriors developmental project, just had the game of his life against the team that drafted him while their actual superstar watched from the bench in street clothes. This is peak Warriors basketball, and honestly, I'm not even mad anymore. I'm impressed by the consistency of their inconsistency. Stephen Curry put up 27 points against Milwaukee. Jonathan Kuminga added 24. Jimmy Butler contributed 23 and 11 boards. The talent was there. The execution was not. The Warriors got Milwaukee's lead down to 2 points with 4 minutes left, and then Ryan Rollins hit a three-pointer that basically said, "Remember me," and started an 11-2 run that ended the game. Here's the thing about this pattern that makes it so distinctly Warriors: they're not sleepwalking through games. They're genuinely trying. And we know that everyone who is in the NBA is there because they are the 99th percentile of all basketball players in the world. But there's something about facing undermanned opponents that makes these dubs go from world beaters to mortal. The problem is that in a Western Conference where every game matters, you can't afford to give away wins to teams playing with house money. Portland and Milwaukee showed up with nothing to lose and everything to prove. But here's why I'm shrugging instead of panicking: it's October. The Warriors are 4-2. They've proven they can beat playoff-caliber teams. The losses to undermanned squads are frustrating, sure, but they're also completely fixable. This isn't a talent problem. It's a focus problem. And focus can be coached, adjusted, and corrected. Will Golden State dominate every opponent regardless of who's in uniform like it's the 73-win season? Probably not consistently. Because that would require them to stop being so remarkably, predictably, annoyingly human. And if 8 years of covering this team has taught me anything, it's that the Warriors are going to warrior. All we can do is buckle up and enjoy the chaos until it's parade day in San Francisco. Jonathan Kuminga is creating perfect problem Warriors would have only dreamed of. This could be a luxurious problem to have. Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors are in perfect harmony right now, something that sounds bizarre to say based on everything that happened with his free agency during the offseason. Kuminga is doing everything the Warriors want from him, and in return he's getting the sort of role and playing time he's long wished for. It's also setting up a perfect problem the franchise could have only dreamed of when they signed the young forward to a 2-year, $48.5 million contract at the start of the month. Jonathan Kuminga is drastically increasing his trade value. Not only is Kuminga making a huge impact on what Golden State is doing to start the season, but he's also increasing his trade value with every single game he plays. That does present a problem of sorts for the Warriors, with many previously believing that a trade was inevitable once eligible to be moved again on January 15. There is a simple answer to this. If Kuminga continues to play this well and the Warriors continue to win at a high rate, then it's highly unlikely that the front office dare mess with things by moving their most talented young player. Things aren't always so simple though. Perhaps Kuminga's improvement and subsequent rise in value brings trade opportunities the front office didn't previously think possible, particularly if it combines with rival players becoming available that aren't obviously apparent right now. While the previous list of players that the Warriors would be willing to trade Kuminga for is getting smaller and smaller based on his form, it could also create a whole new list of players they could get into the conversation for, and particularly if they don't have to dip as much into their future draft capital. That could create a problem for Golden State and bring even more discussion among their front office, but it's also a far preferable situation to the opposite where Kuminga's struggling for playing time and his value was subsequently zero or actually negative. Kuminga's play so far suggests a blockbuster midseason move is doubtful, with the Warriors unlikely to be willing to move on from him, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler or Stephen Curry. As a result, the front office will be very limited with the sort of salary they could send out in a trade. However, the potential of pulling off a big move is far greater given Kuminga's form would have drawn the attention of many front office personnel around the league. Lost to Bucks stunk, but Warriors' Jimmy Butler knows key to returning to flowers and daisies. The Golden State Warriors fell 120-110 to the Milwaukee Bucks in a Thursday night clunker. The opposition was without Giannis Antetokounmpo due to left knee soreness, but Golden State failed to match the shorthanded Bucks' intensity. Warriors all-star Jimmy Butler acknowledged that the loss was not what the team had hoped for and provided a simple way for the group to get back on track. "Get back to winning and it'll be flowers and daisies in no time," Butler told ESPN's Anthony Slater. Butler, Stephen Curry, and Jonathan Kuminga all scored more than 20 points, but Milwaukee played a tighter overall game. "It looked to me like fatigue," Warriors head coach Steve Kerr told Nick Friedel of The Athletic. "Mental, physical fatigue. It did not look like our team out there. Our spacing was bad. It didn't feel like we had our usual pop. I thought Milwaukee was brilliant. Bucks guard Ryan Rollins was particularly effective. The 23-year-old dropped a career-high 32 points as well as 8 assists. He was 13 of 21 from the field and 5 of 7 from range in the winning effort. Watching him on film before tonight, you see he's being very calculated on how to use his speed and create space and get downhill," Curry told Eric Nehm of The Athletic. "Shooting shots when he's open. It seems like the game has slowed down enough when he's making proper reads. You obviously saw it tonight, he played fearless out there. I'm happy for him, but I'm also pissed off." The Warriors are now 4-2 on the season. They will look to bounce back when they face the Pacers in Indiana on Saturday. Warriors' Steve Kerr makes his stance on Al Horford clear after Bucks game. The Golden State Warriors dropped their second loss of the season on Thursday, falling 120-110 to a Milwaukee Bucks team that was without Giannis Antetokounmpo. The defeat marked a frustrating night for Golden State, which failed to capitalize on the two-time MVP's absence. Ryan Rollins led Milwaukee with a career-high 32 points, while Stephen Curry paced the Warriors with 27, followed by Jonathan Kuminga's 24 and Jimmy Butler's 23 points and 10 rebounds. Despite those efforts, turnovers and poor late-game execution cost Golden State as it slipped to 4-2 on the young season. The loss also brought renewed attention to veteran forward Al Horford, who has struggled to find his rhythm early in his first year with the franchise. Horford's showing in Milwaukee summed up his slow start. The 39-year-old played 20 minutes, scoring just 3 points on 1 of 6 shooting, with 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. Once one of the league's most reliable frontcourt presences, Horford's efficiency has dipped considerably this October, raising questions about how the Warriors will manage his minutes going forward. Still, head coach Steve Kerr downplayed any concern after the loss, making it clear that the team remains confident in the veteran's value. "I'm not worried about Al at all," Kerr said. "It's a slow start to the season for him, but he's Al Horford. He's still moving really well. He's a fantastic basketball player, and he's going to help us win a lot of games this year." The 5-time All-Star was drafted 3rd overall in 2007 by the Atlanta Hawks and has since played for the Boston Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers, and Oklahoma City Thunder. Known for his defensive intelligence, rebound, and shooting ability, Horford became a stabilizing force during Boston's 2024 title run before signing a 2-year, $11.6 million fully guaranteed deal with Golden State before the start of the season. His resume, which includes All-NBA and All-Defensive honors, speaks to nearly 2 decades of steady excellence. For Kerr, Horford's early struggles appear to be part of an adjustment period rather than a long-term concern. The Warriors signed him to provide veteran leadership and frontcourt depth, not nightly dominance. If the 60-year-old's confidence holds true, Horford's experience may still prove crucial when the Warriors chase bigger goals later in the season.